Alright, kings, gentlemen, everyone else, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Fedora Revivalism in the Park. And today I want to talk about the Kursk offensive over in Ukraine. Now, a quick recap of what has happened. Sometime, I believe, in late August, early September, the Ukrainian armed forces punched through the Russian border, right, and into Kursk region, which is a region of the Russian Federation. And they've been occupying this little slice of Russian territory for the past 6-7 months now. And there was initial rapid progress on the part of the Ukrainians, but the Russians, with the help of North Korean soldiers, managed to stem the bleeding, to stabilize the front, and they have been very steadily, very slowly pushing the Ukrainians out. But all of that was suddenly reversed, I believe, this week, when Ukrainians made another breakthrough in the Russian lines in the same region. And the situation is still developing, so I don't think anyone who's not at the front or part of the decision-making process actually knows what's going on over there just yet. But I want to address another question, and I believe there is a teachable moment here, and that is there's a lot of people who are, Ukrainian or pro-Ukrainian, who are saying, well, why is the government pouring all these resources into the Kursk offensive when they should be, I don't know, stabilizing the front in the Donbass, or just using these resources in a different way? And one sentence that keeps cropping up is political interference in military necessity. Like Kursk is a political decision, and this is bad because we need to be making military decisions because we're in a war and everything. Well, here is where we get to our teachable moment. Yes, Kursk is a political decision, and it is also a right decision, in the sense that war is a political matter. War is also a military matter, but it's a political matter. And to explain that, we're going to have to talk to our dear old friend, a certain Mr. Karl von Clausewitz, German military theoretician and author of The Big Book of War, on war. It's very pithily named, very well-written book. I have read it several times, and it's really influenced my political thinking and geopolitical thinking. Well, one of the biggest lessons of Clausewitzian thought is that everyone misinterprets his famous quote, which is, they say, oh, war is the continuation of politics by other means. But that's not the full quote. No. And that's not the exact quote. What Clausewitz actually says is that war is a continuation of politics with a mixture of other means. And the context of that quote is that Karl von Clausewitz is fundamentally explaining that war is a political game, and just like politics, the aim of war, the object of war, is to persuade your opponent, or compel your opponent to take a position you want him to take. Now, there are fundamentally three ways you can persuade anyone of anything. The first is proselytization. You can actually convince him of believing what you need him to believe. You can bribe him, or you can buy him. So, I want to persuade the baker to give me a loaf of bread. I give him money. That's a method of persuasion. And the third method is force. And war is a state wherein states, use force to compel one another to change their positions, because the other methods have failed. But the other methods do not cease during wartime. So states still use economic pressure against each other to when they are at war. So, for example, Ukraine stopped transiting Russian gas, and Russia is attacking Ukrainian economic infrastructure, trying to destroy the Ukrainian ports so the Ukrainians can't export grain. Countries also use diplomatic pressure during war. In fact, the diplomatic service of a state at war usually expands rather than contracts. Like, they hire more diplomats because because alliances matter more during war. Diplomacy actually matters more during war. And a lot of people frame it as diplomacy as an alternative to war. No. War is actually a diplomatic act, because diplomacy is everything that a state does with regard to foreign nations, right? So, essentially, the object of war is therefore to compel the other guy to come to a realization you want him to. So, if fundamentally, and this is where it gets interesting, because of this, Clausewitz tells us that while war has its own grammar, this is a direct quote, it retains the logic of politics. War is a political act. Now, it's not politics as usual, it's politics in an exceptional state. However, it is still and remains a political endeavor, and therefore the logic of war, the decision-making of war, is fundamentally political, even though the details of it are worked out by generals and not by politicians. The big picture can only really be set by the political leadership of a country, be it a president, be it a prime minister, be it a king or a grand poobah, or whoever is in charge of the country should be setting grand strategy and war policy, not the military, because the military does military matters and the aims of a war are a political matter. Now, coming to Kursk, why is Kursk important here? Kursk is important because, as we have said previously on this channel, as I have written about, hello friendly dog, very extensively in the past, the quickest way to neutralize a country, right, the most permanent way that Ukraine could not only secure itself right now, but also secure itself and Europe in the future, would be to disintegrate the Russian Federation, and to do that, it would need to attack the Russian political formula. And the Russian political formula, or you could say at the political center of the enemy state, is that it doesn't matter that you're a slave. It doesn't matter that you're a powerless, wretched serf, because you're a powerless, wretched serf of the most powerful Tsar in the world. That's a quote directly from Lermontov's Ismail Bey, where he basically counsels the Cherkessians to surrender to the Tsar. And how do you prove that you are the greatest Tsar in the world? Well, you expand your borders, and your own borders are inviolate, right? Russia has no borders. Well, what's that famous Putin quote? Like, we have no borders. We have frontiers. We keep pushing them out. We conquer, but we have no borders. Well, in reversing Russian territorial gain by seizing a part of Kursk and occupying it, Ukraine is actively dismantling the political formula which rests on the myth of the most powerful Tsar in the world. So now, as a Russian, whether you're ordinary Russian or an oligarch or a general in the army, you are a slave. There is a certain, equality in Russia, in the sense that everyone is equally a slave of the Tsar, and everyone equally exists at the whims of the Tsar. But now it's becoming clear that the Tsar is weak. And this is why the Prigozhin rebellion was so dangerous, because he said the magical words. Well, what if Grandpa is a faggot? What if Grandpa is a weak man? He actually used the Russian equivalent of the word that's going to get this video demonetized. But yeah, he actually impugned the strength of the Tsar, and this is why Prigozhin was so dangerous. He said that which no Russian should even think, that the Tsar is weak. But if that thought is there, and it was there when Ukraine didn't occupy any Russian territory, well, you can imagine how bad it must be now that Ukraine is occupying Russian territory, it's advancing in Russian territory, and is actively dismantling the Russian oil refining industry with its drone campaign. So there was a Ukrainian intercepted communication from internal Russian communication where it's speculated that Russia may have already lost 46% of its refining capacity due to Ukrainian drone strikes, which I don't know if that's true, but there have been a lot of refinery fires and explosions in Russia lately as a result of the Ukrainian drone campaign. And so the message is very clear. Russia is a weak state. And once that message, gets piped into the heads of Russians, that's how you destroy your enemy at a political, at a conceptual level, because the glue holding the country together, the political formula, is being deconstructed and proven false in real time. And that is the value of Kursk. And of course, there's also military logic to Kursk, but I'm not a military man. I'm a political thinker, so that is the political logic of Kursk. And Kursk actually may be, the Kursk offensive may be the key to ending this war in Ukraine and Europe's favor. Thank you for listening, guys, and see you next time.